Alright, in today's video we're going to take a look at this 2007 MacBook, which is a very lovely black color here. And no one I know bought these machines, like the black ones, because, I don't know, maybe it's because this matte finish really does not hide finger oils and nicks and dings and such like that very well. It actually, any little bit of damage this case suffers is going to be readily apparent because the glossy white finish of the other MacBook actually hid scratches and such very well, and you'd actually have to look very closely to see that in fact the thing was just scratched all to hell. This, every little scratch is going to show, and it really kind of sucks. You had to really be careful with these machines if you wanted them to look anywhere near decent, or you'd have a machine that looked like the Tasmanian Devil got to it. This machine currently serves as a bridge machine for older Macs, and by older Macs I mean the early 2000s, the ones equipped with FireWire. And actually the blue SCSI sticker kind of tells the story here, because I do use this machine for editing blue SCSI images to put into my vintage Macs, like my Quadra 700. Let's go ahead and give this thing the tour, and we'll fire it right up, and you can already see it's actually turned on if you look at the sleep light here, which is something I miss from those days. So over here we have the hallmark of a real computer, a optical drive. And I'm one of those weird people who still wants an optical drive on their main machine, which is why I'm using a 10-plus-year-old case with my current main computer. And yeah, I'm going to make the UXW Bill joke that real computers have optical drives. On the back here, we have two speaker ports. I mean, these speakers are nothing to write home about. I actually had a plastic MacBook way back when these were new. Actually, this very model, but not in black, and white, and even back then the speakers were not all that much to write home about. So yeah, I'm not just judging it harshly based on 2022 standards. They were not very good even back then. On the side here we have MagSafe. Not sure why Apple got rid of that for a few years, but who's counting? Ethernet, mini DVI, I believe. FireWire, which is very nice for older Macs with FireWire disk mode. Two USB, audio in and audio out, which is, again, very nice as we've moved on to just having one port for headsets these days and nothing more. And yeah, that's really about it. Now, what's kind of interesting is this is the first Mac whose Intel variant got a brand new design when the Intel transition started. Because if we recall back to the MacBook Pro just really took on PowerBook G4 aesthetic. And the Mac Pro took on the Power Mac G5 aesthetic. The iMac, we all know, took on the G5 aesthetic. And really, nothing got new redesigns until I believe 2007 when the iMac got the aluminum redesign. And then in 2008, Apple just completely upended their whole laptop lineup and just gave us the chassis that arguably is carrying them to this very day. So this was the first machine to just launch with an all-new chassis, and it does resemble the iBook ever so slightly, but again, much thinner, much wider, much to people's chagrin who wanted a 12-inch computer. Pretty neat little design for the time, but unfortunately, it's kind of aging not so great. Because if we try to open it, it's just creaky as hell. And unfortunately, the palm rest on this thing, which this thing wants to open, the magnets are a little strong. The palm rest on this thing is actually very prone to cracking. And you can see it's already kind of started at this corner. But it's very prone to cracking and falling apart. And it would even do that within the warranty period, because my MacBook had to be taken in multiple times for that very defect. And eventually, I actually sold it and upgraded to a MacBook Pro because I got tired of dealing with it. So here it is all fired up. You can see it's booted right into Snow Leopard, and we're looking currently at Apple System Profiler because, as you can see, we're running off the battery, and the battery is still holding a charge. Still seems to be really good, 53, even though it's a stock battery. I'm not sure how old this battery is. I think it has to be new old stock because it's a stock Apple battery, so not sure how long they kept producing them, but it's in really good shape and holds a really good charge, which is very nice to have. If we go to just the general overview of the computer, we can see it's a 3,1 with a Core 2 Duo clocked at 2.2 gigahertz and 4 gigabytes of memory, so that has been upgraded at some point. And as you may be able to see from the cheeky name I gave it, we have an SSD in here. As you can see, we are working on a bunch of blue SCSI stuff at the moment. Got disk images, and a bunch more here with OS X Fuse, which is what I use to augment the file system to allow HFS volumes to mount, because we're currently running, as I said, Snow Leopard, and Snow Leopard only supports HFS in read-only mode, and HFS is what older Macs, at least older than macOS 8.1, use. So you have to be able to write those images, and unfortunately, again, anything newer than Tiger cannot write. So I actually have one of the images here converted to a DMG, and I can just pop it right open, and it's right there, and boom, there's my Quadra's SSD or image right there, and we can go right into system folder, and we can see all the wonderful stuff in here, and we can actually move files to and from this disk image, and then we can just close it, eject it, and the changes have been written to that DMG file. So at that point I can rename it to a .hda file like these ones are right here, and put it onto my Blue SCSI, and the Quadra's like, yeah, that's a hard drive, all right, let me boot from it. Very, very nice solution, and very, very inexpensive too, which is quite nice. That's mostly what I use this machine for, and also burning some DVDs for older Macs. Unfortunately, the optical drive in here is a little bit flaky, which is unfortunate, but a lot of these older Macs tend to have really flaky optical drives, so it's just kind of a luck of the draw at this point, to be honest. But yeah, there's not really much to really talk about with this machine. It is currently just my bridge Mac. I pull this thing out when I want to load software onto my Quadra. Very good machine for that, and I really do love it. Or I use it as my rescue machine when my PowerMac G4 MDD is acting up, and I need to just bust out a FireWire cable and target disk mode into it to see what's going on. Very, very useful little machine. And FireWire Macs are very, very useful if you're into the early 2000s era of Apple, when they were really pushing FireWire as the next big thing. But yeah, not much else to say about this. I mean, it's in pretty immaculate condition, such like that. One thing I do want to go back over, now that I think of it, is if we shut this machine down, you might have heard me mention upgrades. And one of the cool things about this machine is upgrades are stupid easy. So we rotate it back around here, grab this, unlock it, and the battery should pop up, but it doesn't. But here's our stock battery. As you can see, we have directions right here to get to the RAM, which 3 screws, there's your RAM, and your hard drive is right over here. Just slides right out and you're done. It's really, really nice. And I really miss these days of when, you know, if you needed more storage, now the battery is actually popping up as it should, but if you needed more storage, you could just augment it by popping out the drive and putting it back in again. Because as of current, to even edit videos right now, I actually have to have one of these guys here dangling off my MacBook to have enough room, because 256 gigabytes turns out is not enough to do video editing. Who knew? So if I could like swap that drive out with an NVMe drive, I'd be so much happier, but unfortunately Apple's just like, no, everything's soldered. Good luck upgrading there, buddy. And unfortunately, everybody is following them. So I don't like where technology is headed these days, and it really annoys me greatly, because I do miss the days of when you could take a machine like this and, you know, if it's no longer doing it for you, pop a couple more gigs of RAM in there and it'll be much better off. Pop in an SSD, it'll future-proof it for a good long while. Again, just really, really annoying that this is where technology is unfortunately headed. I mean, then again, you can make the argument that technology is kind of plateaued with laptops and they'll last a lot longer than they used to, but still, again, what if you change up careers? Or, again, look at me. I did not anticipate my MacBook Pro to be a good video editing machine, but it did, and I want it to fulfill that role, and it can't because the storage is limited. I would love to upgrade it, but I can't. And asking Apple to do it, well, again, buying a higher config model would have been way too expensive. So I'm going on a rant here, and I really do not intend to. But yeah, I miss these good old days of these machines, and it's kind of why I like to immerse myself in retro tech, because it reminds me of the days when you were expected to upgrade your machine rather than just replace it at the slightest hint that it wasn't going to be fit for your purpose anymore. Anyway, that's it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed. I apologize for the rant, and I'll see you guys next time.